Welcome to Playful Beginnings, a podcast about the magic of play therapy for therapists, students, and anyone interested. In our podcast, we'll explore the deeper understanding of play therapy and the skills we use when working with children.
We hope to help you understand the why behind what we do and how it helps kids heal and grow. I'm Dr. Christy Opiola, a working play therapist and university professor in North Carolina.
I'm Dr. Maggie Parker, a play therapist and professor in DC.
Hi, y'all. It's Christy. Maggie is here in the background. She had to pop out of her house really quick, so she's in the car. She's with us today and will pop on here once she gets settled in her new location. But we're excited to have you back on our podcast, Playful Beginnings. We have a special guest today, which I am super excited about having because I find her dissertation work really important and often not talked about in a global sense, but talked about more like individual components. And so it's nice to have Dr. Jenna Taylor with us. She is not only a fabulous human, and I've had the opportunity to know Jenna for a while now, like 9 years.
That was like 2017
Yeah, nine
at UNC Charlotte.
years. Yeah. And she is now in Indiana
Yes.
with her family, but has two amazing companies, not one, but two. One is called Trusted Therapy Products, where she and her partner do or help play therapists get their playrooms together and make sure they get quality materials into their playroom. You can buy individual toys or you can do the whole playroom, which is really cool. That's Trusted Therapy Products. As well as she has a consulting company called Playful Pathways, which does training, consultation, supervision. So please welcome Dr. Jenna Taylor to our podcast.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, yes. So Jenna, we like to ask all our guests, how did you get to play therapy?
Well, it all actually goes back to UNC Charlotte for me. I have a background in special education, and so I always worked with kids, always knew that that's what I wanted to be doing was working with kids. But I saw a gap in a lot of my students that they weren't getting their needs fully met, especially looking at their mental health needs, because they were a population that a lot of mental health professionals and counselors just don't have the available training working with that population. So I decided to seek my master's degree in counseling, and really I had no idea what play therapy was. So I just kind of luckily and happily fell into it that at UNC Charlotte there's a great play therapy program. And so I said, well, I'll take the intro to play class and go from there. And I think after week one, I was like, oh, I'm going to do the
Concentration.
the concentration and take all four classes. And then that eventually led me to doing my doctorate at UNT, and that's kind of the history from there.
Yes. Yes. And I've had the privilege of having wonderful conversations with Jenna about working with special needs kids in the playroom and really the ways we can adapt and be responsive and some other stuff. So I think your work is really pertinent. I know that was not the focus of your dissertation, but I know you've done a lot, both clinically and like conceptually, and also in some writings that you've done about servicing a population that often goes underserved in our community. We look at all other aspects of the special needs population except the mental health component. And I think it's a really critical thing for us to be thoughtful about and kind of what trainings do we need as therapists to be able to serve that population.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but what we really want to talk to you about is your dissertation study.
Yes, a labor of love.
Labor of love. Do you want to kind of give us a background to the population that you focused on? And Jenna did a little different than maybe some of our other guests have done. She did a meta-analysis, which is really looking at many studies within this population and bringing them together to give us stronger effectiveness and rationale for why child-centered play therapy works. So tell us a little bit about your population and why you chose them and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so as Christy said, I did a meta-analysis and I looked at internalizing behaviors in children. And so specifically within that internalizing umbrella was anxiety symptoms, depression symptoms, and withdrawal symptoms. And I used those three areas within internalizing behaviors because there are a good amount of CCPT and CPRT studies that are looking at those areas within children and the measurement tools that they used in the studies, for me to be able to gather enough data to make this meta-analysis. One reason that I wanted to do internalizing behaviors is because it is often something that's overlooked in kids because it's not a very blatant behavior in the same way that an externalizing behavior is. And so a lot of the times kids in schools, especially who are having some of these internalizing behavior struggles with depression or anxiety or withdrawing, often get overlooked because they're not causing disruptions in the classroom.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the times it can be really beneficial to go in and look for the more quiet student and see like, okay, what's going on with that student that is kind of to themselves or is more quiet because they are often the child that would have these internalizing challenges, but once again get overlooked and then unaddressed. Another reason why I chose internalizing behaviors is because Maggie actually did a meta-analysis on externalizing behaviors, and in that she found a need for more research on internalizing behaviors. So I was looking to fill that gap as well, and then just provide just more empirical research and data on CCPT and CPRT to back up the evidence-based research that we already have.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think one of the cool things about meta-analyses is it looks more holistically over not only a period of time, but then these smaller studies, right, that have small sample sizes when we bring them all together and then kind of evaluate the effectiveness gives us a better generalized picture of what's happening under these diagnostic criteria. So, like for internalizing behaviors, um, it helps us see that, the effectiveness of CCPT and CPRT and kind of the non-directive route within the therapeutic setting.
Yeah, and I did in my meta-analysis, I did both CCPT and CPRT. So I actually ended up running six different analyses.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
so I had, and I also did within and between studies. So within studies, looking at pre and post intervention data, and then between studies, looking at comparison groups, including randomized control trials. So to what you mentioned with looking at some of these studies that had smaller sample sizes, doing the within and between allowed me to include all of the studies that criteria.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us your findings?
Yeah, so the findings were very exciting. And like I said, I ran six different analyses. So I had CCPT within, CCPT between, CPRT within, CPRT between, and then I did CCPT and CPRT combined, both within and between. So that's
And
the
tell them what you mean within and between.
Yes. So within is studies that compared pre and post intervention data. So how were the children scoring on these assessments before they received
Okay.
CCPT or CPRT, and then how are they scoring
Hmm.
afterwards? And then between is comparing two groups of children. So it could be like a waitlist control group, a comparison group, or randomized control.
Control.
Mm-hmm.
So you were really able to get like a wide swath of studies that way by looking at both within and between studies. So you weren't as limited in the
Yes.
data that you were pulling.
Yeah, that was a very intentional
Hmm.
reasoning behind doing that. And so after finding 525 studies that might initially meet criteria, so I had 525 studies after my search that I read through abstracts to determine if they met criteria or not. It got narrowed down to 25 studies that met the criteria. And I was looking at studies between 2000 and 2023 as well. And so my findings from this, like I said, very exciting. So when you think about a meta-analysis, what you find are effect sizes. And so you find a small, medium, or large effect size. So a small effect size is a 0.2, medium is 0.5, and large is 0.8.
Oops. You okay?
Yes, I just, springtime allergies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so for my CCPT and CPRT combined within analysis, the effect size was 0.73.
Oh,
So it was
large.
it was
Medium
almost
to
not
large.
large, but definitely
Yeah.
beyond the medium effect size. So it was a medium to large effect. For CCPT and CPR between, it was a 0.50. So once again, a medium effect
Mm-hmm.
size. Looking at CCPT between, it was a 0.36. So it was a small to medium effect size. And then CCPT within was a 0.44. So a small to medium effect size again.
Yeah. And so for just those like who may not be researchers listening, sometimes I think of effect size, like this difference between small, medium, and large is really like small is that there is a difference, but you can't really see it sometimes as well with just like the naked eye or like general information that we're seeing, but shifts are happening, changes happening in that experience. And then for medium, it is a more noticeable difference, either before, pre, post, or between group. And then a large is that you can see it, it's distinctly different. So to hear that a lot of these studies fell within that medium criteria, that there is a noticeable shift either from pre to post or between groups is really exciting. Even though that varied between like small, medium, medium, large effect sizes, it is noticeable to others, and people can maybe pinpoint certain parts that they're seeing a difference in.
hmm Yeah, absolutely. It is, and it's exciting to be a CCPT therapist and then see the data that a lot of people might question within CCPT and saying, like,
Mhm.
see, this does work. It works well. And then for the CPRT results, the CPRT within was a 1.04 effect, which is very large. And then the CPRT between was a 1.51. So also
Wow.
effect.
Wow. Okay, I'm back, guys. Sorry. That's awesome. That's huge.
But I also think that's, I mean, I love CPRT. I've done research on CPRT. The people we ask are the people doing the intervention oftentimes. So it doesn't surprise me that those scores are larger,
Yeah.
right? Because they're experiencing that drastic difference in their relationship with their kiddo, where sometimes when they send them to a play therapist, right, and they're not in the room and they are experiencing a shift, right, but they're not part. That's not the way I wanted it to sound. Scratch that,
They're
delete,
not in the room with
refactors.
that.
They're
They're
not
not
in
in
the
the
room,
room
but
with it.
they're not
Mhm.
the person providing the intervention. Because I think as
Yeah.
a child-centered play therapist, and I don't know if you agree with this, Jenna, but that, sometimes I'll say there is a difference, and other people are like, I don't see it. And I'm like, what?
hmm
And I
Yeah,
do wonder if some of that, like us doing it, has such a big difference. And I'm not saying that to nullify the CPRT results at all. I think that is amazing. Those are really strong.
But I think it
Um,
brings up a good
results.
point, Christy. And I think we have to like recognize that. And like Jenna, I'm sure you know, after doing meta-analyses, and Christy and I just finished one, right? Is like Jensen et al., I can't even remember, also did a meta-analysis. And what he said is like, what assessments are we using? And so I think it's really important as researchers and those of, like who are listening to this and consumers of research, like yeah, like some of the assessments that we're using and talking with parents, like there may be reasons why it is like has higher effect sizes, but I also think that part of that is because the attachment is already present. And
Mhm.
so like when you have kids come in for 8 to 16 or 32 sessions, that's very different, like to gain that relationship, especially if they're internalizing, if they're feeling shy, if they're feeling anxious. That's really going to impact their ability to like open up and trust in relationship,
Yeah.
which may be much easier if you're doing, working with your caregiver. But I do think it's important to look at like there are reasons, maybe because they're giving the assessments, or maybe the assessments um are easy to show differences, right? It's like kind of thinking about it in those ways, but there are a lot of reasons, I guess.
Yeah.
I think also too, with like considering who's reporting the results, is that 14 of these 25 studies were done in schools. So you're also getting like teacher reports,
Oh,
which
that's
can
nice.
vary from caregiver reports.
Yeah,
They do vary.
they do. Well, it's just like it's really interesting. I think I've always wanted to do this is like look at if we did it in the schools, but we also did a qualitative analysis of the teachers. I'd be so curious, like, because I bet there's like nuances and differences that we're seeing, even when doing CPRT. I bet it's showing up in the classroom too. And maybe it's just showing up a little bit differently than
Hmm.
we think it might. It may not be that these kids that you're looking at like all of a sudden are going to be the most outgoing and raise their hand all the time, but they also are like initiating, you know, games on at recess, which would be a huge improvement. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And that also might be something that the teacher doesn't observe if they're not out at recess.
yeah.
So true. I was also thinking when we go back to the literature and my own experience of doing CPRT groups, right? Like the relationship between a parent and a child is just more significant than my relationship could ever be with a kiddo. So that we can make an impact in CPRT where it changes the way parents view their kids or the way that parents experience their kid is wonderful.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah. And I mean, the parent is with the child the majority of the time, whereas the therapist is with them for 45, 55 minutes once a week.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or once every other week, depending on,
Mhm. Yeah. Or for
like the
like
availability.
some of these school studies, like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At this time, if you have not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, are you at a school right now? It sounds, yeah. I was like, I know that announcement. I'm sorry that I'm late, everybody. I had to go buy baseball snacks and I completely forgot what time it was. But it made me really like just selfishly, Jenna, as you were talking, and I was like, oh, you read my meta? Like,
I know. Well, it is exciting for people to read the work that you do because you pour so much time into, research and writing and the reading and everything that goes into doing a study that when you hear people actually have read it, it's exciting.
yeah, you're like, oh, phew. And I think it's also important to recognize that you received an APT research award for this research that we're talking about. Like, this is a
And
really big deal for the field and really solidifies what it is that we do. And so thank you.
mhm.
Yeah. I actually really enjoyed doing it. And I didn't think that I would do a meta-analysis for my dissertation. And I'm really happy that I did choose to do that.
Yeah. I like meta-analyses.
I do too.
I like doing them. I don't,
Mhm.
we have Christy and I hopefully have one that's gonna be published soon, but like what
I
else
was going
can
to say Jenna's just got just got accepted for
yes.
publication too. So we do want to say her manuscript will be coming out here.
Do you know when
I
it will
don't
be
think
coming out? No.
No, they're in the production process
So
now.
maybe like before the end of the year, probably.
Yeah, I would assume.
I don't
They
know.
said
well,
that
and sometimes
as soon as it's ready, it will be in the
it'll,
next
Got it.
journal
oh,
publication.
that's nice. But it'll probably be online before it comes out in IJPT because IJPT gets published quarterly. So if people are looking for it, probably in the next month or so, you can probably find it online through IJPT.
Yes. Or they can go read 240 something pages of my dissertation.
Yeah.
But only if they have access to university libraries, because ProQuest is not a public source, unfortunately,
I think if
which
you
is where we house it
can you go to like you can't read the whole thing, but you could go to Google Scholar, which is something that
and
I
get the
do a
abstract.
lot, and you can get the abstract, and that's helpful.
I did have one more thing that I wanted to share from
Oh,
my.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry.
No, we've just had a great conversation. But I wanted to make sure because there was one other kind of data point area that I looked at with moderator variables.
Ooh.
Looking at does age, ethnicity, gender, and or number of CCPT sessions make a difference?
Yeah.
And from my meta-analysis, the results show that those things do not make a difference. So the CCPT and CPRT are equally effective amongst all ages of children that were in the studies, amongst all ethnicities, genders, and number of sessions.
That's so cool.
So yeah, so that was also really exciting.
I know it's like we're not
That
when we
is.
do research, we're supposed to be neutral. and like, oh, what's gonna happen? And then it's like you get the results and you're like, yes.
Because it is a gamble, right? Like
Yeah.
sometimes you do studies and nothing shows from it. And I think I don't know if we talked about it here or I talked about somewhere else, but like I think those need to be published sometimes just as much as our results that have good reports, because otherwise people aren't really seeing the whole picture of what's happening in that. I think then when I'm a therapist that's really struggling to figure out, right, like why are things not working or what's going on, not that I can jump ship, but to just say, okay,
Hmm.
like what's happening? Or when I look at maybe other modalities that always have these great results, like where are, as we all know as CCPT therapists, right? Like sometimes it feels like results don't show,
Mhm.
Hmm.
right? And so my guess is that happens in other modalities too, but sometimes they look like shiny metals on the other side of the room that you're thinking, oh, let me jump ship to do this. And then
Yeah.
it also doesn't show. Or do you know what I mean? Like, I just think it's
Yeah.
hard. And when we don't publish those articles, right, it gives this like false impression that it always works or it's always easy or it's always effective in 20 sessions over 10 weeks or over 36 weeks. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's some kids take longer to shift and change and like in art of the relationship, some kids are like molasses and some are like popcorn. Like we're just never gonna know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a parent ask me today, they were like, how many sessions do you think? I was like, I cannot give you a number.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jenna, I have to pop off. I apologize. I have a kiddo that I just got here. So Maggie's going to keep going, but we're going to stop the recording and then she's going to restart a recording just to give us a little break. And I super apologize because
No,
I'm
no
really enjoying
worries.
this. I don't want to leave. So
I
thank you
think
for
I should
doing
be
this too.
recording now. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay,
Thanks,
awesome.
Christy.
It was good seeing
Thanks.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Well, so Jenna, I'm curious, like maybe it might be helpful. I know we've talked about like your research and what that looked like. Like, do you want to tell us a little bit about your companies and what you're doing?
Yeah, I can, but let's see.
Then you have the toys and like helping supply you know what I'm talking about. What are they
Yep.
called? Playrooms. There we go.
Playrooms, play therapy toys.
Yeah. How can people find them? Like, how did you like, because they're really good quality toys. I've been on your website, I've looked at them. I was trying to do a grant, like you were saying, and I needed to like outfit a CCPT playroom. And I was like, went to yours and priced it all out and then didn't get the grant. But yeah, like it's great quality.
Hmm. Yeah. Like, how did we find them?
Yeah. Like, how did you like decide to even start this? It's such a fun idea.
That was my husband's idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just like the during the last year of my doc program, like perfect timing, right? Like middle of dissertation, having a second baby. And he's like, "Hey, I think that there's a good business idea here." He's like, "It seems like it's really hard to like find all the play toys that you need and that you're having to like you're spending so much time just searching for things
Mhm.
and then ordering everything and getting it in and setting it up. That what if we just created a company that could do all of that for a play therapist so they're not having to spend as much time trying to figure out what they even need.
Yeah.
Knew what play therapy toys were needed, and I also like knew about like Crystal's study with multicultural play therapy toys, so I was like, hey, like that would be great to include multicultural play toys, and we could even help people convert like their more traditional playrooms into multicultural playrooms. um,
That's
so
awesome. No, it's really cool. And it's such a great like place to be able to kind of again like to get everything you need, whether you have to start from scratch and start a whole new playroom. Like last week we were talking about play therapy in the schools. And sometimes you have to like create your own thing and you have to be super creative and be in a janitor's closet.
mhm.
And so it's like nice to be able to like have a space that you know that you can trust that's gonna have everything. It's gonna be high quality.
Yeah, yeah. And the majority of people, they just do like custom orders. So they'll just like email us and say, like, hey, this is what I need. This is what I'm thinking about. And then we just like create it for them. So they're not even having to like go onto the website and like pick and choose.
Oh, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll do that next time I get a grant.
Yeah.
I'm just like gonna email you and be like, okay, help me do this. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. And since we fulfilled like grant orders like that for playrooms, then we kind of already have like, this is kind of what most people want, but you can change it or.
That's awesome. Yeah. I really appreciate it. It's good to see you. I'm sorry it was like so crazy with everyone's schedules, but like thank you so much for giving us your time and talking to us and like doing this study. I think it's so helpful and so important. And the more we can get this out there, I think hopefully, it's like play therapy and child-centered play therapy is so counterculture. And so it feels like we have to like build up the research so much to get people to listen to us. And so you're a part of that. So thank you.
Oh, of course. Thanks for having me. I'm glad I got to come on and see both you and Christy.
It was awesome. Okay. Well, thanks, Jenna. I'll see you later.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. As always, thank you for listening. Make sure to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and follow us at Play Therapy Space on Facebook or The Play Therapy Space on Instagram. We're on YouTube, and you can go to our website at www.playtherapyspace.com. You can always email us at info@playtherapyspace.com, Maggie@playtherapyspace.com, or Christy@playtherapyspace.com. Thanks for listening. Play on.